Hi there, friends. Coming to you Tuesday night following Easter. And first thing I do want to tell you is if you like what I have to say with these and want to see more videos, you can find me in YouTube on Rebecca Rankema, and that is Renkema. And you can see all my videos and some of my cats. And would love to have you make comments, tell what you think. But anyway, tonight we're going to move on kind of to what happened after Jesus was resurrected and spent time with his disciples, left, and then got one of the Pharisees' attention, Paul. And this is a verse that I used in my book, Driving Out Fear with Hope. And it's when Paul was now well into his ministry and he was on his way to talk to Caesar, even if it was going to be as a political, religious prisoner. Paul, in this, we find out he just never loses hope. So, this is from Acts 27:19 to 26. And it says, on the third day they threw the ship's tackle overboard with their hands, when neither sun nor stars appeared for many days, and the storm continued raging. We finally gave up all hope of being saved. After they had gone for a long time without food, Paul stood up before them and said, men, you should have taken my advice not to sail from Crete. Then you would have spared yourself the damage and loss. But now I urge you to keep up your courage, because not one of you will be lost, only the ship will be destroyed. Last night an angel of God, the God to whom I belong and whom I serve, stood beside me and said, do not be afraid, Paul. You must stand trial before Caesar, and God has graciously given you the lives of all who sail with you. So keep up your courage, men, for I have faith in God that it will happen just as he told me. Nevertheless, we must run aground on some island. And I'm going to go ahead and read my thoughts on that day because I just reread them and I still kind of like them. After reading this several times, I'm reminded of how many times Jesus used the power of water to get people's attention, and that even in the storms, they do not need to be afraid of being totally forgotten. Jesus walked on water in a storm and quieted the waters to the amazement of his disciples. This is one of those times that I have to wonder if Paul went meekly to God to ask for deliverance, or if he wanted to shake his fist at God and ask him why he'd kill him in the middle of the ocean, stopping his ministry short of full completion, or if he just simply knelt down and said, okay, so what's the plan now? I have a feeling it was the last, but I wasn't there. I do know that he trusted God completely during this time and knew that even if the ship's crew refused to listen to his advice, God's plan would not be stopped. And even if they did not follow his advice initially, Paul said they would be protected if they all stayed together on the ship and ran aground, willing to help those still around him, offering other types of witness. I believe that God put each of us on this earth to fulfill a purpose, both to worship and to be in relation with him, and to fulfill a purpose with our fellow man, bringing God to them. I believe Paul could have told the angel that he was done with his plan and these goals, and that if God wanted Caesar to hear him, he'd have to do it through someone else. I believe God could have done that very thing, but look at what Paul would have missed out on. Paul was a frequent witness to what God was capable of, and he was willing to go all in, even if it meant crashing onto an island for a while. And he was gracious enough to share this with the crew, which is very much a God way of doing things. Our paths are frequently in uncharted waters and through storms, even if he does not turn out, even if things do not turn out the way we thought, that does not mean we need to lose hope. because God's ways are bigger than ours. And our prayer for the day: God, help us to see you in the storms and not lose hope, knowing you are bigger than the storm. So I don't know what storms you have going on in your life, if it's trouble, if it's just chaos, if it's a house that just never looks clean, if it's a job that just doesn't feel settled, if it's your health, your marriage, anything like that. There's a lot of times, and I know in my own life, it didn't turn out the way that I really wanted things to go, but He pulled me through it. And there were some times I just cried and thanked Him. There are times I said, why did you even let this happen? Why didn't you stop me before things got bad? But he stayed with me, and He showed how He was bigger than my problems. So thank you for listening tonight. And if you like what I have to say, leave a comment, hit like. Also, if you'd like to follow for more, you just hit the little bell. Free. You don't have to do anything to follow me. Just lets them know that, yeah, there are some people who like listen to what I have to say. More to the point, listening to what God is trying to say. That's what I want you to hear more. So, anyway, thanks again for listening. And you know what? Have a really good night. Thanks.